Mission accomplished.
Seat as though I was like, pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty. Like, was that okay?
But wait, there's more.
The conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title. And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
Hold up.
Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
There's several conversations.
There's a
about
conversation with you
with Harry
about how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially and what that would mean or look like.
Oprah, they're so racist. That's not racist. Because even black people want to know how brown the baby gonna be.
That conversation I'm never going to share.
Ooh, this is uncomfortable.
We'll talk when we get home.
Hello. So good to see you all. Welcome, everybody. Let me hit the comments, say hi to some people. Today we are reading 3 chapters. I know I didn't have it marked out when I was making the thumbnail. I didn't have the book. It was on another level of the house, and I didn't feel like going to get it. So I just left it blank. But we are reading 3 chapters, and there is no way we're going to do less than that because those 3 chapters are about 23, 24 pages long, which is a long amount of us reading on the upper end, but not nearly as much as chapter 24, which is 33 pages long. So next week, buckle up. Wonder if we should start at 6. Maybe we'll start at 6 o'clock next week because we got to read 33 pages. What do you think? Let me know in the chat if 6 o'clock is a possibility. I'd rather start earlier than go later. I don't know. Now I take that back because I work until 5:45. That would mean I would eat no dinner. Okay, we'll leave it at 7. All right, we'll just stay up later. It is what it is. I mean, it's getting good, right? It's getting good, so it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. You know, my last kid, I still had his notes in his folder here. Oh, geez. Let me just put this away. Okay. All caught up. Here we go. Let me say hi to people, and we're going to start. Chapter 21 is called Tears. Tears. Here, let me tell you the names of the chapters, okay? They are Tears, Humiliation, Wedding. Oh, this is good. This is a good day. Anybody who's coming for the first time, welcome. This is going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. Let me say hi to some people here. Valadia is here. Hi, Valadia. Welcome from across the ocean. Joni C., good to see you. Mountaineer 301, hello. Corley, Mama Squirrel, good to see ya. Rushing to put the leftovers away. The good news is the intro is 3 minutes long. So when you see it starting, you still have time. Like I start it and then I usually go and grab a drink and go to the bathroom and then come back and sit down. I should really do that with the Sister Wives one too. That way, because there's always like last minute things I need to do. I should make a 3-minute intro and just use that video. Okay. Janice is here. Hi, Janice. Hello, Liz. Okay. Nicole, R.I.P. Kirk. I know, is that so sad? He's so young. He's so young. Texted my daughter. I'm like, did you hear that? I thought he had just died of like a heart attack or something, like something weird, but he was murdered. So sad. He's got babies at home. I told my daughter, I go, I don't know why this hits me, but like, I don't know this guy at all, but like, I just know how young he is. And I know he has young kids. And nonsense, just because somebody doesn't agree with what he says. Like, I don't know, what's the world coming to? And then she texted back and said, he's the same age as Adam, which is her husband. Ridiculous. We gotta. All right. 6 is going to be fine with you. We're going to move it to 7. No, I forgot. I can't do 6 on Wednesdays. Wednesdays is my later work day. Oh, it was a good idea for a minute. Wendy, good to see you. Jane, good to see you. Woo, woo, woo. Is your second live? And Jane, are you from the UK too? Is this early in the morning for you? Or very late at night? Let's see. You're about, in the UK, it's I think 6 hours after the Eastern. Yeah, that would be the middle of the night, kind of. 1 in the morning. Woo! All you Europeans who are here, God bless you. That is late, and I appreciate it. All right. Here we go. No more sadness. And of course, the chapter's called Tears. Oy, oy, oy. But let's go. Tears, chapter 21, From Revenge, written by Tom Bauer. The biographer. Thomas Markle was feeling isolated. Quote, I haven't received an invitation to the wedding, he told Meghan from his bungalow. Oh, he told her directly. Okay. It must have got lost in the post, she replied. In the post. She's talking British already. Gosh. Must have gotten lost in the post. That's ridiculous. Okay. Sorry. Nobody says that in America. It's got to be a British term. All right. My British people, you got to let me know. Here we go. Knowing that a British consulate official had visited Doria with an official scroll, and she had also received a formal invitation to the wedding, Thomas concluded, she's bullshitting me. This is Doria's work. It was interesting. It's not the first time he's blamed stuff on Doria in terms of his relationship with Meghan. I don't know how much truth there is to that. I mean, he knows more than we do, but he and Doria still get to, it sounded like they still get together and have a rendezvous every now and then when they feel the need. And they get together and will have a holiday with Meghan. So it doesn't seem like it's that contentious that he would think that she would do something like this, but he did. And he thought something else too in the past. I can't remember exactly. Just lay low, Meghan urged Thomas during the telephone call. Some in the palace were puzzled by Meghan's refusal to fly discreetly to Los Angeles with Harry and meet her father. After all, Doria was in regular contact with Kensington Palace about the arrangements. Meghan had even flown to Los Angeles to show her mother the sketches for her wedding dress and to arrange for Oscar de la Renta to make Doria's outfit, a pale green coat and dress with a matching fascinator. During the visit, Meghan had not suggested that Thomas Markle drive up to Los Angeles. She had only arranged for a Beverly Hills tailor to take Thomas's measurements for a suit which would be made in London. Thomas presented himself at the tailor's under a pseudonym. He was told to fly to London on the 26th of May, arriving merely 2 days before the wedding to try on the finished suit. Doria was also to arrive. Sorry, my microphone's in the way here. Doria was also to arrive in London shortly before the wedding without the time to overcome any jet lag. Meghan wanted to minimize any chance of embarrassment. Oh my gosh. She wants them there at the very last minute, which is going to force them to be completely jet lagged because she thinks they're going to embarrass her. You know, it's all how you handle it. You can have parents that do crazy and embarrassing things. And if she were to just say, listen, they're silly. Sometimes they're inappropriate, but they're my parents. People would drop it at that point. You know? So listen, in the end, that's my mom and dad. So people will be like, oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Jane said, is very British to be lost in the post. Okay, here she is. She's not even married into the family yet. She's talking like a Brit. Okay. She was afraid that Thomas might reveal truths about her family that she would prefer. Oh, was she? I'm sorry. I'm like, why is there a question mark at the end of that sentence? Because I read it wrong. That's why. Was she afraid that Thomas might reveal truths about her family that she would prefer left unsaid? Or worse, would Harry take fright once he met Thomas and even break off the marriage? Take fright. That's an interesting phrase. I like it. Thomas's discomfort was aggravated by his family's unhappiness. None of Thomas's older children or brothers had been invited to the wedding. Oh, not even the one that got her the job at the UN that she wanted so badly, that she could put on a resume to show Harry and act like she did something when really it was all just a photo op for herself. Okay, that brother was not invited, or any of her step siblings. So that would have been her uncle. Okay, any of Thomas's brothers or any of her siblings. Okay, uncalled for. The former diplomat Michael Markle dubbed Meghan's indifference. He added, I'm upset and surprised. Meghan has climbed socially and left us behind. That's how I feel. That's what happened. Tom Jr. was equally damning. Quote, she torn our entire family apart. Okay, that's not great grammar. If you're going to do a knockout punch, I say it correctly. Anyway, all right, God bless you, Tom Jr. Samantha speculated that Meghan was ashamed of white working class men. Equally disappointed were Doria's relations, especially her half-brother, Joseph Johnson. He had cared for Meghan until she left for college. After Joseph died in 2021, his widow complained that Meghan failed to send her any condolences. All right. We're just talking about bad things Meghan did now. Didn't really have anything to do with the wedding. But okay. Palace gossip related that the publicity departments of some famous designer labels, Chanel, Dior, Armani, Givenchy, you could tell I don't buy these brands, and others, had been surprised by calls from a member of Meghan's staff with a request. Meghan would be delighted if the house were to bequeath. Bequeath. Maybe it's a narcissistic thing as well. Oh gosh, all the narcissists who want to be Brits. All right, I'm sorry. We don't say bequeath in America. Okay. Meghan would be delighted if the house were to bequeath a handbag, shoes, or an accessory to Kensington Palace in the near future. She would be happy if they would just give her stuff. That's what she said. Oh, nice. These items would be treated as goodwill gifts, the publicists were told. The women were puzzled by what they called, quote, the Duchess's discount. Free! The balls this girl has. In the past, their offers of gifts to Kate had been rejected on the principle that the royal family did not accept freebies. You don't take handouts. Meghan does. Meghan's staff, it appeared, were not worried by that rule. The troublesome palace rumors coincided with Kate giving birth to her third child, Louis. 5 hours later, perfectly made up and poised on the steps of St. Mary's Hospital for the cameras, Kate introduced the latest royal baby to the world, then smiled and drove off with William. 5 hours after the birth, she did that? God bless her. When I had my third, I told them my insurance covers 2 full days. I need that mental health time before I go back to the 2 little ones that I still have at home. Oh, gosh. Of course, I didn't have a staff, so there you go. Kate introduced the latest royal baby to the world and then smiled and drove off with William. Okay. Harry was reconciled to the fact that he was now, as 6th in line, no longer the spare. Well, he should be happy. All he's been doing is complaining about being the spare. He's not the spare anymore. He relied on his partnership with Meghan to reposition himself. A casualty of the royal birth was the night's TV documentary featuring Camilla. With the focus on Kate, there was less interest in the documentary, which had preoccupied Charles. Fearful of Camilla's unpopularity and the opinion polls reporting that a majority of Britons would prefer William to follow the Queen, Charles had asked his sons to praise Camilla in the documentary. Both refused. Good for them. Good for them. Fearful of Camilla's unpopularity. Okay, you Brits are going to have to help me here. Opinion polls reporting that the majority, I just assumed, maybe I'm wrong, that so would prefer William to follow the Queen. Oh, to follow the Queen. Okay. I was thinking it was saying after Charles passed away that instead of her becoming queen I'm like, why would she be queen? Okay, I'm following it. I'm sorry, I'm slow. Witnessing those disagreements, Meghan was determined to dictate the terms of her own public image. Well, that didn't go so well. I think people like Camilla more than her. She would control how the public should perceive her and also the tone of the marriage ceremony. Hollywood, she knew, would love the images of an American princess with the backdrop of a medieval castle in the interior of a 15th century church. Where did I leave off? On Meghan's visit to inspect St. George's Chapel, her guide mentioned the tombs of kings within the walls. The history and constitutional relevance of those granite stones did not register with Meghan. Even the grave of George III, who lost America as a British colony in 1776, passed unnoticed. After 1 year in England, Meghan showed little understanding of Harry's family or his country. She was unconcerned that Charles and Camilla, as divorcees, had not been allowed to marry in the chapel. To embed Meghan into the royal family, this breach of constitutional practice had been approved by the Queen. Taking this for granted, Meghan appeared convinced that their milestone marriage would, in Harry's words, keep the monarchy popular. Okay. Meghan's behavior was fueling palace speculation about Kate's anger over her treatment of their shared staff. It's interesting that they shared a staff. There's a whole book right there. Meghan's requests, they complained, were delivered as commands rather than inquiries about whether something would be possible. The team of hand-picked professional women preparing for the wedding were the target of her complaints. Among the several disputes was the choice of music for the wedding. undecided until the last days. The menu at the reception, constantly changing. The guest list, not only friends, but many of Harry's cousins, uncles, and aunts were excluded. Whether the guest list should be usual, whether the guest list should, as usual, be published. Meghan's veto was final. The seating arrangements in St. George's Chapel, Meghan's wedding dress, frequently recut. Whether air freshener could be used in the chapel, Meghan's request was rejected. I wonder what kind of air freshener she wanted. She didn't want it to smell musty, I guess. I don't want this to smell like a chapel. I just want to be in the chapel. I don't want it to smell old. I just want it to look old for photos. The mounting cost, Charles did increase the budget. And not least, which tiara Meghan could wear. No member of Buckingham Palace's staff is closer to the Queen than Angela Kelly, the 61-year-old personal advisor of the Queen's wardrobe. Devoted to the monarch, Kelly's many duties include caring for the royal collection of tiaras, or tiaras, depending on what country you live in. We'll say tiara. Invited to the palace's secure room, Meghan alighted. Meghan alighted on a tiara sparkling with emeralds. Her choice was approved by Harry. Kelly suggested that its Russian origin made it unsuitable. Harry became angry. He had been downright rude, the Times was told by Kelly. Kelly reported the unhappy exchange to the Queen. Harry was summoned by his grandmother to a private meeting. He was put firmly in his place, the Times reported. Shortly before the wedding, the approved tiara featured in a second tiara. I'm not wearing my tiara. What is wrong with me, people? I'm reading all about tiaras. Gosh, I know, such hard decisions on which tiara. I'll wear the big one today. It's a big tiara, but it's a smaller band. There we go. All right, everything's right in the world now, people. Okay. Shortly before the wedding, the approved tiara featured in a second tiara dispute. Meghan's hairdresser flew from New York to rehearse his work around the tiara. Queen Mary's diamond bandeau. Meghan asked that the tiara be delivered to the stylist's room. Kelly refused. You go, girl. Tiaras, she said, were not released for hairdressing rehearsals. Figure it out. Are you a good hairdresser or not? This is what it looks like. Now, what are you going to do to her hair? Maybe she doesn't. Her hairstylist isn't that good. All right. Harry once again became irate, accusing Kelly of being unhelpful. What Meghan wants, Meghan gets, he shouted. Did he really? Boy, he really feels entitled. Harry was now called, quote, the hostage by some staff. Less frivolous was the realization that Meghan did not seem disturbed by arousing anyone's displeasure. Tradition, hierarchy, and family relations did not deter her from annoying anyone. And that included the Queen. The tension troubled Kate when she arrived with Charlotte, her 3-year-old daughter, at a fitting for the bridesmaids' dresses. By then, Kate was irritated by complaints of Meghan bullying her staff. One had complained that she was offhand. Another that her temperament was haughty, displaying little sympathy for those outside her circle. W.H. Auden, the poet, had summarized this kind of dilemma. Quote, "Private faces in public places are wiser and nicer than public faces in private places." End quote. Since she had given birth to Louis, Kate was too fatigued to cope with a disagreement about whether the bridesmaids should wear tights. Did I skip a page? No. Okay. Feel like we're kind of jumping around a little bit. Because we didn't hear about the argument about the tights, but okay. She was too fatigued to cope with the disagreement about whether the bridesmaids should wear tights. Following protocol, Kate believed they should. The Californian was uninterested in royal tradition. Her insistence was supported by Jessica Mulroney, present as an advisor, and the mother of another bridesmaid, Ivy. Some would say that Meghan compared Ivy favorably against Charlotte. Others were surprised by Meghan's close attachment to Mulroney. The disagreement was followed by an argument about the length of Charlotte's hem. Kate thought it was too short, and anyway, did not fit. Melissa Taubiti, Meghan's assistant, and the dress fitters employed by Givenchy's Claire Keller witnessed Meghan empathetically reject Kate's observation. Compromise was not a trait Meghan embraced. It's a good sentence. Compromise is not a trait that Meghan embraces. Okay. Christy Alsop, a friend of Camilla, would later confirm that Kate was reduced to tears by Meghan bullying her staff. After leaving that unhappy scene, Kate decided to make amends. She crossed the Kensington Palace corridor and presented Meghan with a bunch of flowers. Kate also told Meghan not to speak rudely to her staff. "That's unacceptable," she said. What followed can never be irrefutably established. In Kate's version, Meghan slammed the door in her face and threw the flowers in a dustbin. Oof. Meghan would tell Oprah that the tears were shed by her, not Kate, and the flowers were an apology. "I think that's where everything changed," Meghan rightly said. Yeah, you think? Gosh. After the first report of Kate's tears was published by Camilla Tominey in the Daily Telegraph, Meghan would claim that it was the beginning of real character assassination. The palace spokesman refused her request to set the record straight. Okay. I'm sorry. Still a little sick. I'll be blowing my nose at some point. I just want to say that even if she did go to apologize, which she's saying she didn't. Well, she didn't say she didn't go to apologize. It's just that was Meghan's claim that, oh no, she made me cry and then came with flowers to apologize. I could see that there was a kerfuffle over tights and skirt length in terms of palace protocol and what Kate felt comfortable with. Meghan was stubborn and said she'd do it her way, and Kate got upset and was in tears. Why? Because she's postpartum too, on top of everything going on, and not really liking Meghan. And then I could see her come back with flowers to say, listen, she's marrying into the family. I don't need dissension with her, and I don't need trouble with her because I don't want to make anything more difficult for the Queen or for William. So I will go and try to make amends with this biatch. That's how I see it going down. So I think it's a little bit of truth on both parts, but who knows? According to the book, we're never going to find out the truth. Chapter 22, Humiliation. In Rosarito, Thomas Markle was feeling abandoned. Quote, I was being chased and harassed on a daily basis by the media. I didn't know who to turn to. The people at the palace gave me no help at all. I felt utterly isolated. End quote. Not only did Meghan fail to telephone, but Jason Knopf, I know that's not how it's pronounced, but I'm just going to say it for the rest of the book, just so you know. His palace contact never returned his calls. Thomas Markle was fretting. I was hung out to dry, he later said. Thrust into the spotlight, Thomas had become upset by the portrayal of him online and in newspapers across the world as a scruffy, obese, alcoholic hermit. And that's pretty much how it read. That's how I took it too. Trolls on social media accused him of undermining and failing to defend Meghan. He was embarrassed by the contrast of his lifestyle with Meghan's glamour. Well, that's her fault. She could have set him up really well. She had access to money. British newspapers asked why no recent photo of Meghan and her father had appeared. They speculated that Harry had not met him under orders from Meghan, and they questioned why he kept changing his mobile number. As the ridicule increased, Meghan delivered a wounding blow. In a rare telephone call, Thomas had told Harry that he wanted to give a short speech at the wedding reception. Shortly after this, Meghan called to say that it was not possible. That hurt, Thomas admitted. It was the worst blow. The award-winning lighting director was a proud man. He wanted public acknowledgement, even admiration, as the father of this remarkable young woman. Samantha Markle listened to his repeated complaints. By then, she had been approached by Jeff Rayner, a British photographer based in Los Angeles. Rayner offered to photograph Thomas preparing for the wedding. Samantha told her father that the photos would show that he was not a recluse. The media was unfairly making him look bad, she later said. So I suggested he do positive photos for the benefit of the royal family. Although in an early phone conversation, Harry had warned Thomas Markle not to deal with any media because, quote, they will eat you alive, end quote, Thomas agreed to Samantha's suggestion. Thomas met Rayner at a restaurant in Rosarito. You look disheveled and fat, said Rayner, laying out snatched media photos of Thomas. One of Thomas, carrying 4 cans of beer, implied that Meghan's father was a heavy drinker. We're going to make you look great, said Rayner. Anxious not to appear as if the photos were staged, Thomas urged that Rayner should take long-distance candid shots. They signed an agreement. He would be paid $1,500 plus 30 cents of the royalties. On the 27th of March, Rayner photographed staged shots of Markle in Rosarito, glancing through a book of images of Britain at Starbucks, reading news stories about Meghan and Harry in the internet cafe, and being measured by a tailor for a wedding suit. The tailor was David Flores, a 17-year-old student and shop assistant at a party shop. What? All right. Flores was paid $15 to hold the tape measure that Markle produced. These don't look like candid shots, Thomas told Rayner. Don't worry, said Rayner. No one will know. Gullible and desperate, Thomas trusted Rayner. The photographer would wait until the right moment to sell his prize. In London, rumors about Meghan's discourtesy toward her staff seeped out of the palace. I think the pressure to escape from the firm is crushing, predicted Germaine Greer, a Republican feminist. She bolted before. She was out the door. I think she'll bolt. I hope in a way she'll bolt, but maybe she'll take Harry with her. Camilla Long, an acerbic columnist, agreed. I think it's unlikely Meghan hasn't already mapped out the big sit-down interview with Oprah after the divorce is over and she's fled to America. She had already written her lines about the healing process and will monetize a public personal development. Long was to prove uncannily accurate. Oprah Winfrey had called at Kensington Palace to discuss an interview before the wedding. Flattered that she now ranked amongst the superstars, Meghan had told her officials to reject the offer. She would wait, she told Oprah, until the time was right. She rejected an Oprah interview. She's feeling herself, wasn't she? Yeah. And do you think that what she meant by I'll wait until the time is right is because she knew she was going to bolt this wedding, that she wasn't going to be in London, but maybe a couple years tops, and then she was going to be out of there? She didn't even make it a year, did she? I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe she did. All right. Oh, my apologies. Okay. Those first shots triggered other skeptical comments. Was this, asked Patrick Jepson, Diana's former private secretary, a genuine love story by a woman prepared to sacrifice for duty? Or was she seeking a stage in her lust for fame? The latter. Could she, he speculated, distinguish between her celebrity as an actress and her new global fame derived purely by association with Harry? Could she understand she only has fame because of her association with Harry? Nobody cares about you, Meghan. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody watched Suits. Even the most discreet palace officials were voicing similar exasperation. Meghan picked up the vibes. A close friend would reflect her anger. The critics, she said, were radically motivated. Find me a woman of color in a senior position who has not been accused of being too angry, too scary, too whatever in the workplace. Oh, whatever. Nobody knows you're a woman of color. It has nothing to do with that. Gosh, she could take zero accountability for being rotten. It's about who you are, not at all about the shade of your skin, Meghan Markle. On the eve of the wedding, Patrick Jepson privately feared that Meghan would use the race card to rebut any unfavorable news stories. It will be really tragic, Jepson said, if Meghan and her husband got into the habit of firing ethnic warning shots at the very same media that will reliably trumpet all the good work for the years to come. Jepson was also concerned by Harry's conviction that Meghan had much in common with Diana. That illusion, Jepson believed, was dangerous. As Diana and Fergie discovered, Jepson warned, Meghan should not overestimate her worth. As a newcomer, and she's not even royalty. At least Diana and Sarah had some sort of outlying. I mean, Diana was a lady, whatever that is. Really, I don't even know. I thought ladies were the ones that helped royalty. That's just lady in waiting. Lady in red. That's the only lady I know because it was popular the year I graduated from high school and I wore a red prom dress. Unrelated. Let's get back. Okay. Meghan should not overestimate her worth. As a newcomer to the dynasty business, her sole purpose was to preserve the monarchy as the focus of national unity. The Windsors would be ruthless against any threat posed by an aggressor. Jepson knew Diana better than Harry. He had seen her spread happiness, but he had also witnessed her weaknesses. Working outside the system, Diana ignored advice, kept her officials in the dark, and as a loose cannon beyond anyone's control, was eventually cast out. Meghan, Jepson feared, was replicating Diana's worst characteristics. Not, as Harry believed, her best characteristics. In late April, as the countdown to the wedding on the 19th of May began, Jeff Rayner offered Thomas Markle's photographs to newspapers. After the first ones appeared abroad, Knopf alerted Meghan. She called her father. Asked whether he had cooperated with a photographer, Thomas replied, no. At Meghan's request, the palace officially denied that Thomas Markle had cooperated with Rayner. Thomas Markle, said Knopf, was suffering from media intrusion, being followed and harassed by photographers. He warned the media to respect Markle's privacy and to stop further harassment. Everyone believed Knopf's denial. On the 3rd of May, 2 weeks before the wedding, Thomas Markle drove to the first aid station in Rosarito with chest pains. Years earlier, he had received nitroglycerin treatments for irregular heartbeats. Paramedics told him that he was in the midst of a heart attack and he should go immediately to the local hospital. After a few hours of poor care, Rosarito, that's in Mexico, right? Yeah, right over the border. I don't think it's not the greatest area. Okay. And despite suspected congestive heart failure, he discharged himself. Over the following days, he told Meghan about his health problems. He also told her how much he was looking forward to wearing his new suit and shoes, and that during a trip to Los Angeles, he had left flowers adorning his house for Mother's Day. By now, Rayner was selling the photographs across the world and expecting to earn £100,000. One photo was published by The Sun as an exclusive. On the 11th of May, Harry and Meghan called Thomas Markle. Well, finally. During the conversation, they asked if he did cooperate with Rayner. No, said Thomas. If you're lying to me, said Harry, my children's lives will be in danger. Wait, what children? What's he talking about? What are you talking? Next line. What are you talking about? Oh, Harry, what the heck? What are you talking about? Shouted Thomas, angered by Harry's tirade. You haven't got any children. That's what I was thinking when I heard it. Oh, that was the end of that. On the 11th of May, Thomas also texted Meghan, I know your hard work to make me look good. Thank you. I'm getting excited. It's all so close now. I can't wait to walk you down the aisle. The Markles' lives permanently changed on Sunday, the 13th of May. The Mail on Sunday exposed, all right, so the Mail on Sunday it's like a newspaper, I think, or a television show, exposed Thomas Markle's complicity with Jeff Rayner. A grainy CCTV image recorded outside the Rosarito Internet Cafe showed Thomas following Rayner holding a long lens camera. Other informants, including David Flores, the tailor, confirmed that Thomas Markle had collaborated with Rayner. The palace was embarrassed, while Meghan and Harry were furious about Thomas's betrayal. Understandably, I don't know why he lied. Meghan's repeated calls to her father were unanswered. Mortified by her inability to tell the palace officials what was happening, she blamed the media as irresponsible, harmful, ruthless, malevolent. She asserted that the Mail on Sunday had known about the collaboration for some time and had maliciously waited until the last moment to expose her father. That was untrue. On Monday, the 14th of May, Thomas woke late, as usual, at around 11 a.m., which was 7 p.m. in London. Thomas texted his daughter that he was sorry about all this. He loved her, and he offered to make a public apology to both her and Prince Harry. To spare her and the royal family from any further embarrassment, he offered not to go to the wedding. After enduring months of silence from London and Harry's failure to meet his future father-in-law, the photo crisis sparked an outburst of calls. The first was from Harry to Thomas. Harry advised Thomas not to make an apology. That would only make everything worse. Thomas accepted the offer. In turn, Thomas confirmed that after all, he would come to the wedding. Harry replied that a British official would call him at his home and drive him to the airport. Soon after that conversation, Jason Knopf called Thomas. An apology, said the official, would be, after all, advisable. Okay. So the royal palace is saying something different than what Harry and Meghan are saying in terms of the apology, or at least Harry. No one in London could imagine Thomas Markle's confusion. Trapped in his isolated home, he festered without a sensible advisor. Contrary to Meghan's account, Thomas insisted that Knopf's second call about the apology was his last. Knopf did not, as Meghan later claimed, speak to Thomas Markle on many occasions. Meghan would also claim that Knopf made significant efforts over many months to protect Mr. Markle and to object to intrusions into his privacy. Thomas Markle denied that assertion. Not only was he abandoned, but now he was utterly humiliated. That lunchtime, he drove to a local McDonald's in Rosarito. After the meal, he headed to Kentucky Fried Chicken. All right, this is not boding well for you, Thomas. If you don't want to be the fat, frumpy guy, you can't go eat lunch at McDonald's and then drive to Kentucky Fried Chicken afterwards. It's not a good look. Okay. Later that day, the 14th of May, Thomas felt chest pains again. Well, surprise. I didn't even put two and two together that he's having these heart attacks and heart problems and that he just went from McDonald's to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Oh my. Dizzy with palpitations, he had the same symptoms as the previous heart attack. He asked a friend to drive him across the border to the Chula Vista Hospital in California. While waiting for the friend, his phone rang. A man calling himself Sarge announced that he would arrive soon to drive Thomas to the Los Angeles airport. He was to fly 2 days later. Sorry, Thomas replied. I've got to cancel. I have to go to the hospital. I'll pass that on, said Sarge. Thank you very much. Before going to the hospital, Thomas spoke to TMZ. An American showbiz website. He confirmed that he had cooperated with Rayner to rehabilitate his image, but he had been left looking stupid and hammy, and so he wouldn't be flying to London. What about you're going to that? This is so confusing. Gosh, no one's telling the truth. This is how everyone, this is like Sister Wives. Like nobody tells the truth. I could not, this is so frustrating to me. I could not live a life of having to keep secrets in your head. Like I have to tell the truth all the time. I mean, not to hurt people's feelings. I mean, I know how to like hold my tongue when it's appropriate, but why doesn't he just say, I'm having a heart attack, I'm going to the hospital? Why did he call TMZ before he went to the hospital? Oh, geez. Okay. Contrary to Meghan's later claim, he did not personally refuse to get into a waiting car to drive to the airport, nor had he turned away a security guard sent by the British Embassy. Both arrived after Thomas had crossed the border. Before entering the hospital, he texted Meghan to apologize and say that he could not travel to London. Harry and Meghan were frantic. In a series of texts to Thomas Markle, the prince was on edge. Quote, Tom, it's Harry, and I'm going to call you right now. Please pick up. Thank you. Oh, he's used to getting his way. I will be calling you right now and you will pick up the phone. No. Tom, Harry again. You really, oh no, not you or I. It's just really need to speak to you. You do not need to apologize. We understand the circumstances, but going public will only make the situation worse. If you love Meg and want to make it right, please call me, as there are 2 other options which don't involve you having to speak to the media, who incidentally created the whole situation. So please call me so I can explain. Meg and I are not very angry. We just need to speak to you. Thanks. Next one. Oh, any speaking to the press will, capitalized, backfire. Trust me, Tom. Only we can help you, as we have been trying from day one. He's a victim. I don't think you've been trying since day one. You didn't even go over there to ask for her hand in marriage, Harry. Get over yourself. With the 8-hour time difference between London and California, messages and more confusion dominated the 16th of May. Meghan awoke to read TMZ's report of her father's heart attack and hospitalization. She would later claim that this was when she time learned of Thomas Markle's condition. Time learned? Is that a British term she's using again? Never heard the phrase time learned. Learned of the time? Is that what they mean? Maybe? That scenario is hard to believe. Both Sarge and the British Embassy security guard who had been sent to Thomas Markle's house were told he was going to the hospital, and Meghan had received Thomas's text with the same news. In reality, Meghan doubted that the hospitalization was genuine. Meghan texted her father, quote, I've been reaching out to you all weekend, but you're not taking any of our calls or replying to any texts. Very concerned about your health and safety and have taken every measure to protect you. Not really. No protection was sent. Okay. But not sure what more we can do if you don't respond. Do you need help? Can we send the security team down again? I'm very sorry to hear you're in the hospital, but need you to please get in touch with us. What hospital are you at? End quote. 10 minutes later, Meghan fired off another message about security. Harry and I made a decision earlier today and are dispatching the same security guys you turned away this weekend to be a presence on the ground to make sure you're safe. All of this is incredibly concerning, but your health is most important. I'm just thinking, she's texting all this and she knows her family and she knows that Thomas is going to share these texts. She added, please call as soon as you can. Sending a security guard to Thomas Markle in Rosarito while he was being prepared for surgery in California was odd. It's a really good point. This has gotten so confusing. I forgot he's already in California to go to the hospital. He left Rosarito. He left Mexico, went to California to LA where there's better medical care. She's sending it down there because she didn't believe it said. She didn't believe he was really in the hospital. For 18 months, Thomas had been forlornly asking for help. He replied he would be in the hospital a few days and refused the offer of security. Don't really need it. Security guards are in the hospital. In an emergency procedure to prevent a heart attack on the 16th of May, 2 of Markle's arteries were unblocked by angioplasty. Emerging from the anesthetic later that day, Thomas Markle texted Meghan, "Surgery went okay. Heart attack did some damage." The doctors, he continued, forbade him to fly that day to London. He wished her the best. "Love you and wish you all the best of everything." End quote. Harry texted back, quote, "If you had listened to me, this would never have happened." End quote. Harry is full of it. Boy, he's becoming equal to Meghan here in this story. Stung by Harry's reprimand and silence about his health, Thomas reconsidered his position. In a text, he asked Meghan who would give her away. "If really required," he texted, "I will come if you really need me, and I'm sorry about this." TMZ reported that after all, Thomas had decided to fly to Britain. From London, Harry sent texts saying they were not angry. Meghan's final text ended with "Love, M and H." I love how she puts herself before Harry. Okay, it's fine. She's his daughter. She can do that. Then Meghan telephoned Thomas. She pleaded that he come to London. Hearing her cry, Thomas became convinced that his daughter did not believe that he was in the hospital. The call ended acrimoniously. "Maybe it would be better for you guys if I was dead," he snapped, and Thomas hung up. It's a little explosive. I mean, was there a conversation about, do you believe I'm in the hospital? I think did we get to the nuts and bolts of it? Or are we just assuming different things? I don't know. Communication is the worst. Harry fired off what Thomas regarded as 3 telling off texts. I guess telling them off would be a telling off text. It's not in quotes. That's why I was like, what are we saying here? Okay. First, Harry admonished Thomas for talking to the press and accused him of hurting Meghan. To Thomas's distress, Harry did not ask about his health or the operation or send him good wishes. Deeply wounded, Thomas sent a curt reply. "I've done nothing to hurt you, Meghan, or anyone else. I'm sorry my heart attack is an inconvenience for you." Harry would deny that exchange occurred. Meghan, however, acknowledged she had received an unpleasant message from her father. Within 5 minutes, she called him 4 times. He did not answer. See, this is it again. Just pick up the phone. Everybody's bad in this whole situation. Everybody involved. Nobody's right. Everybody's wrong. This is frustrating to read. He did not answer. Using Meghan's phone, Harry texted, "Tom, it's Harry. Please answer your phone. I need to know this is actually you because it doesn't sound like you at all." Thomas later explained, "There is a time and a place to say what he said, but not when I was lying in a hospital right after a heart attack." Therefore, Meghan never sent another text to Thomas, never telephoned him, and ignored his calls forever. She cut him off. At 4:57 a.m. on her wedding day, Thomas called, but unsurprisingly, got no reply. On the 16th of May, 3 days before the wedding, Kensington. Wait a second. Oh, so that's just the next time he called her. We're jumping ahead. Now we're jumping back. Okay. Because this was at 5 o'clock in the morning on her wedding day. He called. She didn't reply. On the 16th of May, 3 days before the wedding, Kensington Palace's official spokesperson briefed that Thomas would not be coming to Britain because of ill health. By then, several members of the Markle family had arrived in London to appear live on TV shows, characterized as alcoholics, cannabis growers, and jailbirds lured by money. They were angry not to be invited to a family reunion. The visitors included Rosalind, Thomas Markle's first wife, and Tom Jr.'s ex-wife, and her 2 sons. No one had ever met Meghan. Yeah, it is kind of weird. Talk about really wanting to get your 15 minutes of fame. And these are like extended family. And they literally go over to Britain to do the interview circuit to let everyone know they were not invited to the wedding, but they were there. To the wedding of a distant relative who they never met. As I said again, everybody's wrong in this story. Haven't seen somebody do the right thing yet here. Let's see if we can go on and find somebody who's a voice of reason. Well, the palace staff was probably a voice of reason this entire time, but I don't think anyone was listening to them. Meghan's nephew, I don't know why Meghan's uncle couldn't walk her down the aisle. I mean, he wasn't even invited to the wedding. That's partly why. But, like, he's the one that she called to get the job at the embassy. Like, he was probably overweight, too, and wouldn't look really good in pictures. She looked much better on the arm of a king. Meghan's nephew, Tyler, used his visit to promote his latest cannabis product, Markle's Sparkle. Oh my God. It's just a hot mess rolling down a hill. Tyler was estranged from his father, Tom Jr. My dad, he's just a vile human being. By contrast, his brother Dooley praised Meghan and denounced the media's reporting. I've always admired her, says Dooley. Dooley sounds like the dog's name, doesn't it? It's cute, though. I'll say that. I'm going to be Lolly to my grandkids, so I cannot make fun of Dooley. But it sounds like Duty. And so then it's not good. Okay. At the last moment, all the Markles were dropped by broadcasters, but Samantha Markle would not be silenced. She wanted to promote her forthcoming book, The Diary of Princess Pushy's Sister, and denounced the descriptions of Meghan as a compassionate humanitarian. Meghan, she said, had nothing in common with Diana. Early in the year, she told US TV, we were asked not to speak to the public, but I'm pretty adamant about it. There is something in this country called freedom of speech. She doesn't have a copyright on that. Truth. Amid the background noise, Meghan's dilemma was who would walk her down the chapel's aisle. Harry agreed to ask Charles. He's our father, Harry later said, so of course he's going to be there for us. Charles replied, I'll do whatever Meghan needs, and I'm here to support you. Harry later said about Charles, he was there for us. He was the one out of the 2 left to deal. One out of the 2 left to deal. He tried to do his best and to make sure we were protected and looked after. He was the one of the 2 left to deal. What does that mean? I had heard that she wanted William to walk her down the aisle, the future king, the hot one, the one that people accuse her of really liking. And that William refused, but there's no speaking of that. But I just wonder if that he was the one of the two left to deal. I wonder if there's any reference to that. I don't know. Thomas Markle could not be airbrushed from the ceremony. His name was printed on the order of service. To square the circle, the palace needed to secure his approval of the arrangement. To conceal the Markle family crisis, James Beale of The Sun was falsely told by the palace sources that Meghan had spoken to her father. Quote, Meghan said she loved him. He said he was recovering well and not to worry. Thomas had told Meghan that he was honored that Charles would give Meghan away. Unseen during the furor, Doria quietly arrived in London on the 17th of May. Escorted from the plane as a VIP, she was driven directly to the Clivendale House Hotel outside London to prepare to meet Charles and the Queen at Clarence House and Windsor, completely jet-lagged. Because all flights from America to London are red-eyes for some reason, and you end up in London at the crack of dawn, exhausted because you have not slept in 24 hours. It makes no sense. Okay. Does make sense if you have the ability to buy first class and a sleeping seat that you can just sleep the whole way. Even then, it's not that long of a flight. By the time it goes up and it comes down and everything, it's not that much sleep. It's like 5 hours maybe, right? Okay. Anyway, in turn, Doria was ordered not to say a word. That appeared to include not making the slightest facial expression. I think that was a dig on the author's part. That appeared to include not making a single facial expression. She's not a smiley person. Doria was about to participate in one of the Windsor's greatest theatrical performances. Some say a hapless royal family hijacked by Hollywood. Craziness. Okay. Amber Johnston is Lolly. It's the only thing I like about her. But Trent is Papa instead of Pop. I don't know who Amber Johnston is. Or Trent Johnston. Who's Trent Johnston and Amber Johnston? Let me know, Wendy. But it's the only thing you like about her is that she's Lolly. Somebody else mentioned that they were Lolly too. And then I think Rhonda Delph, one of our other mediators, she mentioned that she wanted to be Lolly, but she was outvoted, I think. I was like, oh, I had never heard of it until one of you sister friends mentioned it. I'm like, that's so cute. Meghan has resting bitch face 24/7. Oh, 7 Little Johnstons. Okay. So he was one of the 7 Little Johnstons. I stopped watching that show about a year or two ago. Oh, so Amber goes by Lolly. Okay. Lolly and Papa. All right. Well, like, I'm less excited about it now that I know that, but oh. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Wendy, I know she was cruel to her adopted daughter. The whole thing seemed like a hot mess, too. Final chapter 23. The wedding. The fairy tale. A rich prince weds a beautiful damsel in an imposing castle surrounded by 600 excited guests. 600 guests, and she had one family member. And we don't know if she had any real friends, like friends, with the exception of Jessica Mulroney, whose child was one of her little bride's girls. So she probably needed somebody. So she's like, well, Jessica, you can come because you've got the little girl, and I don't think you can send her without you coming too in tow. But out of all that time, all the private school spending, it's not like she was a military brat or something and traveled all around the world and had a hard time making. She lived her whole life in LA, in California. She went to private schools where you really get to know people because they're smaller. She went to college. She was on a show that I would think the cast gets very close by, but somehow Meghan got close to nobody. Except for Jessica Mulroney somehow was connected in celebrity, and I think she saw her as a way of stepping up in the world until she didn't need her anymore. Okay. 600. But yet she invited all these actors and actresses she doesn't even know. She didn't know Oprah. She didn't know George Clooney. Ugh. All right. Few Kensington Palace staff approached that day without bruises and a tinge of disbelief about Meghan and Harry. The family was divided. William and Kate were skeptical, while Charles and the Queen were relieved that Harry had chosen a woman with sense and intelligence. Apparently, he wasn't a good picker. Who was apparently prepared to undertake the public role. But like most families, on the eve of a wedding, the inevitable tensions were expected to be put aside on the day. Weddings symbolized the union of two families and their friends. The couple's guest list defied that convention. It reflected Harry's deliberate detachment from his past. Several members of the royal family, cousins, uncles, and aunts, were surprised not to be invited. Politicians were excluded. Among them were the Prime Minister and Donald Trump. Although scorned, he refused to criticize Meghan in a TV interview by Piers Morgan about Meghan's criticism of his misogyny. Well, I still hope they're happy, Trump said, with unusual tact. Across the shires, many who had helped Harry through his early years, taught him to play polo, provided hospitality, taken him on safaris in Africa, and cared for him in the years after Diana's death, could not understand why they had been excluded. Nor do I. You know what I think it is? Meghan had nobody to invite, so she told him he couldn't invite anybody either. So it would make her look bad if he had friends and she didn't. NFI. Not fucking invited, they cursed. Individually, no one could understand the snub until they came to a common conclusion. All were deemed to be of no use to Harry in the future. The guest list, strongly influenced by Meghan, ignored nostalgia and gratitude. The focus was on their reinvention. Mice shouldn't marry rats, declared one disgruntled English landowner. The most notable exclusion was Meghan's own family. Voicing the Queen's surprise, Charles was perplexed that besides Doria, not a single relative had been invited. Meghan had climbed socially and left us behind, said Mike Markle, her 80-year-old uncle. I think that's what happens when you're the underclass and trying to rise above the reality of your situation. She's a prima donna because he, Thomas, treated her very well. Samantha Markle believed that her half-sister had excluded all her relatives to protect the lies she had told Harry and the others about her life. What lies, Samantha? What lies? Okay. In their place, Meghan invited her girlfriends and admirers, including hotelier John Fitzpatrick, her close friend from New York. Less noticeable. Isn't there indication that she and him kind of hooked up? I feel like. All right. Less noticeable, but more important, were those engaged to maintain her Hollywood profile. Her Los Angeles agents, her lawyers, her publicity advisors. She invited everybody on the payroll. No real friends. Okay. Keely Thomas Morgan had a prime seat at the chapel. Behind them sat fellow actors from Suits. Oh, there were some actors from Suits there. I take it back. Many had not been expecting the invitation. All stayed together in an Ascot hotel and noted that they were not invited to the evening dinner. From their regular conversations with Meghan, they assumed she would enhance her celebrity life with the royal family's approval. Embracing celebrities was not unusual for the Windsors. Charles often invited actors and writers for weekend parties at Sandringham. Similarly, inviting an exceptionally helpful businessman to their wedding was acceptable. Okay. They didn't say who it is. Kate and William included the head of Audi UK at their wedding in thanks for supplying his cars on generous terms. Oh, the head of the car place, but not her sister, not her uncle. Among the stardust to seal the glamour of Harry and Meghan's wedding were David and Victoria Beckham, James Corden, Elton John, Serena Williams, and George and Amal Clooney. No one believed that Meghan knew the Clooneys, but the palace insisted that Harry had once met the actor. Oh my gosh. They look so bad. This just looks so bad. Priyanka Chopra, the Indian actress, was an acquaintance. I bet she's not anymore. We haven't seen her on With Love, Meghan. Not that I'm watching them, but I saw somebody else reporting on it, giving a list of who the guests were. They're all unknowns, and most of them just cooks. I don't know. I shouldn't say they're all unknowns. There was that one actress from The Office on the first season, and then there was somebody. Oh, the wife of, well, I guess she was a model, so that was her own claim to fame. Oh, the bully girl, the one who bullied that one girl and told her to off herself on social media. Christy Teigen. She was on this season. Those are her two claim to fames. Okay. The biggest surprise was the inclusion of Oprah Winfrey, America's famous 64-year-old chat show host. Renowned for turning wounds into wisdom as the television queen of victimhood. Oprah was certainly not Meghan's friend. They had met for the first and only time 2 months earlier. Like so many other guests, Oprah knew that the relationship would be useful. So did Meghan. To be surrounded by Hollywood royalty would firmly establish her roots in America. I don't think so, Meghan. Unusually, the palace did not publish a wedding guest list. Identifying the guests depended on journalists spotting celebrities or following social media. Many guests could not resist posting messages and photos on Instagram about their clothes, hotels, and journey to St. George's Chapel. The glistening ceremony had attracted tens of thousands to stand in bright sunlight among the streets outside the castle. For them, the royal family epitomized Britain's identity. Human and flawed, but also decent and considerate. Over 10 million Britons watched on television as the guests arrived and took their seats. Meghan would not be pleased that 17.6 million had watched Kate's wedding and 28 million had watched Diana's. So how many watched hers? Oh, 10. Okay. She could, however, be sure that many uncounted millions were watching in America and elsewhere. I saw it, but I don't think I saw it live. I think I saw it, like on the news replayed. And I don't think, I mean, Diana's, I remember my mom waking me up what felt like 3 o'clock in the morning to start watching that. And I remember sitting there starting to watch it. And I swear it was 3 hours later before she actually got out of the car to go into the church. It was so much just talk. Like she got me when like the broadcast began and didn't let me sleep in. I was young though. I was a kid. So I don't know. I should ask her if she knows what time she got me up. All right. Among them, lying on a hotel bed to avoid prying journalists, Thomas Markle grumbled as he knew more of the Hollywood guests in the first 2 rows than his daughter did. He had filmed with them all, including George Clooney, in the sitcom Friends for Life. That was one of several reasons he came to believe why Meghan had abandoned him in the months before the wedding. She never really wanted me there, he concluded. Doria, he became convinced, was also relieved about his absence. Wearing the clothes and demeanor suggested by Meghan, Doria sat composed and alone. Few could understand why she had not arrived accompanied by a friend. Everyone assumed it was her own choice rather than Meghan's. She did look kind of pathetic all by herself over there, didn't she? Below Doria sat Kate and Camilla. Kate was inscrutable, choosing to wear a traditional Alexandria McQueen tailored coat she had worn on a previous engagement. She signaled that Meghan should grasp that they were not rivals. Unlike Meghan, Kate would eventually become the queen. Waiting by the altar, William and Harry, dressed in blues and royal uniforms, gave the firm impression of deep friendship and mutual support. Exactly 5 minutes before the ceremony began, the Queen arrived. Beside her, Philip walked unaided. The proud 96-year-old manfully disguised his recent recovery from hip surgery and the pain from a cracked rib. He refused to use a walking stick. The royal family sat facing Hollywood celebrity across the aisle. Hailing Meghan as a boost to the monarchy had provoked a somber discussion about how the monarchy would survive the Queen's death. The answer was in the service. Charles and the Archbishop of Canterbury had fashioned a celebration of multiculturalism. For Charles, who had a strong relationship with Britain's Afro-Caribbean community, the invitation to the Afro-American Episcopalian Bishop Michael Curie of Chicago to read the sermon and the inclusion of a performance by the 19-year-old cellist Sheku Kenneth Mason sent a message across the world that the British royal family sincerely embraced multiculturalism. As they should, because the Commonwealth, I think, is more significantly multicultural than it is white. At the precise moment set out in the timetable, Meghan arrived at the chapel in a Rolls Royce, the same vehicle that had carried Wallace Simpson, the American divorcee, and the Duke of Windsor's wife to her husband's funeral in 1972. The official's choice was deliberate. Oh my gosh, they picked that for her. Does she know? As she stepped out of the limousine, Meghan's bridal train was caught. The escorting officer who opened the door offered no help. The explanation foreshadowed what was to come. After her rudeness during the rehearsal the previous day, explained an officer, no one had any feelings of goodwill towards the bride. The sight of the bride in her white Givenchy dress by the English designer Claire Keller was pure Hollywood. Under the spotless blue sky and without her father at her side, Meghan stood at the entrance to the chapel. I'm reading too far ahead. To the chapel as a proud performer. Just like at the Queen's death, she looked like she was performing and acting. Unaccompanied, she walked into the chapel. The feminist gesture, reported CNN, proved Meghan to be a strong, independent woman who is prepared to challenge royal norms. After she had walked alone halfway down the aisle, Charles joined the bride to complete the walk to the altar. Well, there goes the feminist who can do it on her own. Thanks, Pa, said Harry. You look amazing, he told his bride. She smiled. As she said, I will. Okay, we're kind of jumping around in this sentence. And the ceremony's now over. Okay. Broadcast across the Windsor town, the loud cheers from the packed streets echoed back into the chapel and beyond. The customary precision of royal events was lost after Bishop Curry ignored his instruction to speak for 6 minutes. Now, I heard this went on. In a barnstorming, unscripted 14-minute sermon, his exuberant appeals for the power and love, followed by a gospel choir singing Stand By Me, aroused smiles among some and exasperation among others. The doubts disappeared at the end of the service as Charles thoughtfully took the arm of the uncertain Doria and escorted her out of the chapel. As Harry and Meghan emerged into the sunlight, the wedding was hailed as a triumph. A magically modern royal wedding was the Daily Mail's front page headline, echoing the resounding public acclaim. Universally, the ceremony was hailed as a perfect example of the monarchy's deft modernization. Sorry. Spam! Got to turn my phone off. It's off. My apologies. Universally, the ceremony was hailed as a perfect example of the monarch's deft modernization. No one doubted that the couple would be the benefit to the country and enhance the royal family. The monarchy's hope in William and Kate, a solid, loving, modern family, and now Harry and Meghan symbolize Britain's confident entry into the 21st century. Journalist and author Tony Parsons witnessed for The Sun the optimism among the crowds in Windsor. Standing in a packed pavement to watch Harry and Meghan pass by an open Escort landau carriage or something like that, he recorded that the deep, bitter divisions inflicted on Britain in the EU referendum of 2016 seemed to have melted away. Here was a wedding to give us all reason to be cheerful, and the joy was everywhere. Here was a royal wedding for the multiracial, multicultural country the UK had become. The joy continued for the 200 guests greeted by Charles at the evening dinner in a glass marquee in the grounds of Frogmore House. Uninvited were Camilla's 2 children, Tom and Laura Parker both, and several of Harry's oldest friends, including Tom Inskip. That's his best bud. Quote, Meghan has changed Harry too much, end quote, Inskip later said. Shocked that he had been dumped. He said, we've lost him too. Harry had switched his allegiances to the Hollywood set. Included at the dinner were Oprah Winfrey, Idris Elba, James Corden, and then notably George Clooney. The actor brazenly seized the moment for self-promotion, Princess Eugenie's future husband, Jack Brooksbank, a bar manager promoted to brand ambassador for George Clooney's tequila, Casamigos, was assigned to pour Clooney's brand for guests throughout the evening. Interesting. So did he get this title because George knew he was going to the wedding and he knew Eugenie was engaged to a bartender? Was he? What was he? Future husband. He was a bar manager. So he knew he was a bar manager and that he was going to be marrying into the royal family. So then did he ask him to become a brand ambassador and then go around and pass out drinks to everybody? I'm curious, what came first? The chicken or the egg? The brand ambassadorship or the invitation to the wedding? My darling old Harry, I'm so happy for you, said Charles during his post-dinner speech. Harry, he said, a big man with a big heart, had found his perfect wife. Meghan's speech was sentimental, but also a little threatening. Meeting Harry, she said, was love at first sight. She had at last found my prince. After thanking the royal family for their welcome, she pledged to launch campaigns. That's why I'm here, she said to applause. Bring it on, shouted an American guest. By then, just 2 hours after the wedding, the royal family's official site had added the Duchess of Sussex's new webpage. Meghan's pride, the page proclaimed, was being, quote, a woman and a feminist, end quote, and an activist on behalf of women, girls, and the poor since age 11. Oh my gosh. Her dad told her he submitted that and that she won. It didn't happen. Alongside her photo on a learning mission to India, the website mentioned her interest in the stigmatism of menstrual health management. Oh. Some of the older British guests were wondering whether Meghan imagined herself to be the British equivalent of Michelle Obama. Gazing at the Californians who cheered Meghan's pledge to campaign, they were irked that their full white teeth smiles revealed, quote, an awfully adoring crowd, end quote. Naturally, William tactfully praised Meghan as the sister that he never had and as the best thing that has happened to Has, who he teased about his bald patch. Then the party began. Boy, they are really caught up on going bald, those two boys, aren't they? Like one dig after another. They're both losing hair. Give it up. As Brooksbank handed out Clooney's tequila brand, James Corden hosted a dancing competition. Charles danced with his sons and waited for the fireworks. Impressed by the display, Charles asked Harry, who had paid? You, Pa, replied his son. Charles left the party early, uncertain how much of the 32 million pound bill was down to him. 32 million pounds for a wedding. Regardless of the latest burden, he had hosted a memorable celebration on a special day. 3 days later, Meghan's wedding pledge to campaign was highlighted by the Times. Her legions of admirers commented in the newspaper, see her a princess, not a preacher. Even the cheerleaders for her feminism suggested, the newspaper hoped that she understood the fine line to tread in public. The newspaper continued, clearly she has no intention of giving up her activism, and yet it carries clear risks. Activism strays easily into politics. And it is an iron law of the constitutional monarchy of which she now is a part, that its members stay out of politics if they want to survive. The warning was explicit. In her new role, she is a princess, not a politician. She will have to find a way to be content with that. Duchesses, the duchesses don't campaign and don't fight back. The measured caution did not appeal to everyone. Tom Bradby, a TV journalist known for his friendship with William and Harry, foresaw problems if palace officials did not endorse Meghan's demands. Writing in the Sunday Times, apparently on the Sussexes' behalf, and aware of the tensions between Meghan and her staff, Bradby applauded Meghan, who, quote, had yet to put a foot wrong in public. She has yet to put a foot wrong in public. I appreciate the grammar. As a language therapist, I appreciate the grammar of another language. That's English. Spanish, I could do without. He hailed her mixed race background as a PR department's dream to refresh the royal brand. Harry's friend put the burden on the royal family. The Sussexes, he warned, could be the family's natural rock stars, but it's going to be complicated. It's going to be a complicated balancing act. Other writers were divided about the marriage. Margot Jefferson, the author of Negroland, elevated Meghan to the achievement-conscious Black bourgeoisie. Okay, I don't really know what that means, but okay. Harry, she believed, was fortunate to be marrying up to a woman with money and opinions. He'll learn. June Sarpong, the broadcaster, welcomed that the royals are beginning to resemble the rest of us, end quote. Yeah. I completely agreed with all that when this was happening. I'm like, nothing like unifying the world, right? Because the royal family is kind of like, they're kind of the only royals that most people follow. It's like the royal family. And then, yeah, there's royals other places, but nobody knows who they are. Never heard of them. Okay. But Hind Andrews, a strident professor of Black Studies at Birmingham City University, was scathing. Quote, the royal family is perhaps the most identifiable symbol of whiteness in the world. It is absurd to think that one Black woman could transform an institution so rooted in colonialism and whiteness, end quote. Oh, come on. God, you can't win for losing. You can't, I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people are saying it's completely changed. They're just saying it's nice to have a little diversity. Get off your high horse. Who is this person? I don't even know if it's a girl or a guy to say he or she. For Professor Andrews, Meghan was not Black enough. We went through this, any of you in England. We went through this when Barack Obama became president, too. He's a Black president. He was a Black president. He was a Black president until he became president. And then all of a sudden, he wasn't Black enough. He was a biracial president, and he was too white. It was just like madness. Like, some people just can't be happy. Her skin, he said on CNN, was too fair. Her hair was not afro, and her nose was not flat. She represents, he wrote, the image of Blackness we have been sold as acceptable and marketable. During those, I will admit, she's not very Black looking. So true. Nobody knew she was Black. She was never treated as Black. She never had any Black roles. She doesn't, but I think she does have an afro. She just doesn't wear it. She straightens it. But from those earlier days, her hair looks extremely curly. Like if she were to just let it go, I think she does. And I think her nose did look Black before she had it done. Like she tried to unblackify herself, allegedly. But if we look at those pictures of her in elementary school and in high school, she's a very different nose than what she has right now. Apparently she got another one too, but I don't know. Allegedly. Everything's allegedly. I'm just saying. So I can't argue with the fact that like she's not the epitome of blackness, but my God, take a bone. Be happy. Where are we? Now I've lost my place. We're at the very end of this chapter. All right. During those first days of the afterglow, Meghan maintained her control of events, just as the wedding guest list remained undisclosed. The couple's honeymoon destination was also a guarded secret. If Meghan can't handle life in the royal goldfish bowl, suggested one observer, unaware of the growing tension in the palace, no one can. Unseen, Oprah Winfrey was texting Meghan. Thrilled to be acknowledged by Californian royalty, Meghan was delighted that Oprah had visited Doria. Her only misgivings were directed at those within Kensington Palace, her staff, and the Cambridges. The Cambridges, that's Kate and William, right? Aren't they the Cambridges? I think. If I'm wrong, let me know. None realized that she remained in constant contact with all her advisors in California, the entertainment lawyer, her business manager, and her publicists. And then, shockingly, the 33-page chapter we're going to read next time is titled Tremors. I'm kind of curious, like just making waves. Is that basically what it's referring to? I mean, I'm sure she didn't have tremors. Well, maybe she did have tremors. Little frustrating on behalf of I think the majority of the publications, though. I mean, he specifically pointed out this one professor guy who wrote something from one university. You're always going to have dissent from somewhere. I want to say, at least from the American point of view, when this was all going down, people were very happy. Some black, biracial, multiracial, whatever, something different getting married into the royal family. It was just sort of a sign of mixing it up a little bit. It would have been really cool if it was like a South African prince or something. That would have been really cool. But at any rate, it wasn't. It was Meghan. It was the best we could do. Out of everyone in America, how did it end up being Meghan Markle? That's crazy. All right. Pretty good, though. Curious what Tremors is. I think Tremors is going to be, she's now making waves in the royal family, and we're going to read all about them, all put together in one chapter. All right. Yeah, in 2015, 5K was expensive for a wedding and reception together. Yeah. Theirs was how many millions? Was that 35 million? It was something crazy. Oh, gosh. All right. I think my dress was $750 on sale, and I spent less than $3,000 for the entire reception in 1990. Listen, Joni, my daughters, we did those weddings on a budget. And if you were to see photos of it, or if you were there, you would think we spent tens of thousands of dollars. We didn't spend $10,000 on either one of them. They were both between $5,000 and $10,000, and they were gorgeous. In fact, we had a leak in our basement during the night, and I had a whole bunch of stuff that I'd been meaning to put on Marketplace. So I'm like, I brought it all upstairs into the piano room that will soon be my office. Not soon, but will be my office. To force myself to look at it every day I walk by it and get myself to make another Facebook page and post it all. But all this stuff from the wedding, I got so much stuff on Facebook Marketplace, and I will share with you photos from their weddings next time. I'll pull some together and show you, and we can compare $35 million to a $5,000 to $10,000 wedding. Of course, we didn't have 600 guests there either. They were like 100 guests at both of the weddings. People who were meaningful. Call me crazy. Oh my gosh, but they were beautiful. Just beautiful. Oh, I love to see the photo. I will make myself a note, and I will pull some together so I can share them with you next time. Wedding photos. The other thing I said I was going to show you a picture of, I did. Oh, that was for Sister Wives from Alexandria, the picture of the, anyway, doesn't matter. I'll show you next Tuesday. Wedding photos. I'll pull some together and I will show you. And I will show you how on a budget we did weddings. And they even had alcohol at them, because that's usually a huge expense. But you don't have to be. You could just do beer and wine. You don't have to go all crazy. Don't have to provide hard liquor. I think in both of them, if they wanted hard liquor, they could have bought it on their own. But I don't think anybody even really did. They were lovely. Lovely weddings. Okay. Michelle, I made another live, and it's at the end. Oh, yours was in Connecticut and it was cheap. Connecticut's expensive. Look at you, Joni. You did a cash bar. There you go. Hers was like half cash. If you need whiskey or something, get it yourself. Otherwise, beer and wine for y'all. And we managed to, my one daughter's, it was part of the package of the place. But at my other daughter's, we brought everything in. We catered all the food, we catered everything. So, and then we hired a bartender through the venue. So we ordered all the alcohol in advance to have there. So we picked all the wines. In fact, my daughter, who was just here last weekend, came back upstairs and had 2 more bottles. Because she's like, can I take these? There was a really good blueberry wine. I don't like wine. I'm not much of a drinker at all. You know, I like my amaretto on the rocks or an amaretto sour. That's about it. And a margarita every now and then. So, I mean, you can count on 2 hands how many drinks I have in an entire year. It doesn't do much for me. So I don't want to bother with the calories, bottom line. But this blueberry wine, I should get a bottle of that up and show you guys too. For people like me who don't like to drink, if you just like something that's like sweet in that, this was good. This was good. She took one of them. I wonder if she took the last blueberry. I might have to find a bottle of that and open it up. Maybe I'll open it up, since we're talking about weddings, next Wednesday when I'm here. We can all have a glass of wine together. That would be fun. Put on my crown, crack open the wine, and then I can, because I know that blueberry wine, every time she comes home, she takes another bottle of it. I don't know how many are left, if there are any left. She could have all the rest of them. It was the blueberry one. And I don't like blueberries. I don't like blueberry flavored anything. I don't like regular, I mean, I'll eat them, especially if they're in front of me, because I know they're good for me. It's not like I hate them, but I would never choose it if there was a raspberry or strawberry or certainly a cherry, which is my favorite. But yeah, BYOB wedding. There you go. That's the way to do it. You can take anything except I know I should have. But originally she thought she was just going to take it all. I'm like, but I paid for all the alcohol. So I feel like what's left over, Mama can have. And then I remember telling her, I'm like, listen, if you come by and you want a bottle of something, you can. So every single time she's come home, she's taken 1 or 2. So I got to go look. There weren't that many left over. Oh, gosh. All right. Next week. Let me write that down, too. I got to find the blueberry wine. Did I put the pen away already? I think I did. Blueberry wine. So good. So anybody who's not a wine drinker, just like sweet drinks, you can write down the name of it. I'm sure it was cheap, too. Even better. I know it was. I didn't buy any beer or wine. Like we had the regular beers. I mean, I guess we had 1 or 2 that were a little bit more expensive. But we also had the regulars, Bud Light or whatever, Miller. I don't know. I don't know what they are. I don't drink beer. I know my Summer Shanty. We did get that one, was more expensive in terms of beers. And I think we had some Corona too. That was a little bit more expensive, but nothing like expensive. Certainly the wines weren't. All right. You like your whiskey or rum? Yeah, see, that's too much for me already. I'm a lightweight, complete lightweight. All right. Oh, it sounds good, Joni. Neither of us drank, so beer and wine was perfect. Yeah. Well, my second daughter and her husband, he doesn't drink at all. So it was fine for them. They were going to have a completely dry wedding. And so I was like, I'll buy the alcohol. It'd be nice for people if they really want to have a glass of wine or beer. Don't worry about it. But I will forego beer and wine to have filet and chicken cordon bleu. Those sound like lovely options for sure. See, a Midori sour. Wait, what is Midori? Wait, I gotta look that up. Oh, so I have to try that at some point. It's a melon liqueur. All right, I will try it someday because I love my amaretto sour for sure. Okay. Wendy, I feel bad. Please say you'll still be Lolly. I'm still going to be Lolly because it's official. I already texted my daughter. I said, I just want you to know that it's official. Dad and I have decided we are Lolly and Pop. And so she goes, oh, okay. That's so cute. So, and I told my mother, who always questions weird names and everything. And so I did the whole backstory and explained why and explained that I was looking for something unique and I didn't want to just be grandma. And she's going to be Gigi because she's great grandma. And I was trying to think of names. And then I started giving her all the weird names of other things I heard of. Like, I know somebody who calls her Grandma Buttons. And sometimes it's Grandma Buttons and sometimes it's just Buttons. And I was going through like all this stuff. So then when I got to Lolly and Pop, she's like, oh, that's cute. I'm like, okay, whew, the setup is good. Oh, gosh. All right. Yes, don't worry. I'm still going to be Lolly. All right. This was lovely. This was fun. Thank you all so much for being here. We'll be here again next week with our tiaras and our wine for a post-reception, which I don't know if it's going to cover that. We may have covered the entire wedding and reception already. We might be going into dramatics and trauma and drama after the wedding, but we'll see. All right. A pisco sour. I've never even heard of a pisco. All right, where's my pen? I got to write this stuff down. Okay, I got blueberry wine written down. Now I need a pisco and a Midori. I mean, I like my sour drinks. I love my amaretto sour. But I will say that I've heard of people having whiskey sours too, but I'm not sure that I would like it that much. Amaretto, you can just pour it on the rocks and I'll drink it straight and be very happy. If it's Disaronno brand, if it's like the good stuff that's smooth. Anyway, sound like I drink all the time. I don't. One bottle lasts me like a whole year. All right. I love you, sister friends and fellow queens. Take care. We'll be here next week, same time. Mwah. Bye, y'all.